I'm joined here today by the one, the only. It is, of course, Adrian Yanez. We haven't talked in forever. Last time I talked to this man, he was in LFA. We were excited about Fight Pass, and sure enough, now we're fighting in the UFC. Set to go on all these events, getting the highlight reel knockouts. Set to take on Gustavo Lopez. What's going on, sir? How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty well, man, and it's pretty cool, from us like interviewing back at LFA just to be on Fight Pass, just to be on Fight Pass now to be on like the actual UFC, not Fight Pass anymore. Drop that off. I'm on UFC now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was crazy because I know the big thing was like, you're gonna have some eyeballs on you. You're on Fight Pass. It's like right at Fight Pass. Not today. You're on ESPN, ESPN Plus. Like the eyeballs are not the same.
Oh yeah, man, it's a huge jump, man, and I'm loving it, and like I'm like super blessed to be a part of it, man. I think that UFC Fight Pass, getting those eyeballs on me, the UFC saw that and was like, hey, this guy main eventing for the LFA first, like for the first, LFA being aired on UFC Fight Pass, so that was really cool, having the first one, me main event and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. That was really really cool, and just to be able to jump in after that, get the contenders call and uh, pass that with flying colors and then pass my debut with flying colors, man. So it's been a blessing. It's been like I'm really loving it, and it's been I just can't say it any more, man. I've been blessed.
I mean, you did capitalize really well with the Fight Pass thing because the UFC, they're always looking for guys to put on the Contender Series, the prospects they want to sign. So you went out there, had a great fight, and then boom, Contender Series, UFC, and here we are now.
Oh yeah, man. It was really cool. It's really really cool, man. The UFC Fight Pass and what they're doing, they're trying to get more local regional scenes on the Fight Pass, which is really really cool. Especially like you're gonna get these fighters who originally who would be fighting locally, and now they get to like actually be on something that people are going to be watching, which is really really cool, and it's really great, and it's really great for scouting a lot of talent. So to me looking at that, kind of like opens up the gates for much more talent, and for these divisions to be deeper, because back in the day when there was hardly there was not very many places for fighters to fight, so you weren't really getting the best guys coming in. You had a lot of these guys who were fighting, but they were fighting nobodies, and you can see that. But now you get these guys who are being put on UC Fight Pass, and you're looking, you're just like, that guy's going to be a problem. That guy is definitely going to be a problem. And then he gets signed, or he gets the contenders call, or he gets signed. Exactly what I did in that, So like I'm just, oh man, it's super cool. The talent's going to just rise and it's going to blossom. You're going to see a lot of stars being born, man.
Did you enjoy the ride? Because I know it happens fast, right? Before you know it, it's like LFA Contender Series. Now you're fighting. I mean, you're still part of it, but are you enjoying the ride? Did you enjoy the ride leading up to there?
Oh yeah, man, I absolutely loved it. I was just kind of thinking about it because it all happened like kind of pretty fast, and it all happened like kind of like out of nowhere too. My last fight November, and I was booked to fight last year. I think in March 13th, and I was supposed to fight, and I was like super excited. I was like, I would train so hard for that fight, and it was a good matchup. The guy was gonna test me and everything, and it was a good fight, but that fight gets ends up getting canceled, called off due to COVID and everything. So it was like a downhill thing for me. I was like, man, dude, I'm not gonna get a fight this year, or like all this stuff is happening. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get a fight, and then I get the call for the contenders, and they're like, hey, you made it. I was like, oh, nice, thank you. This is amazing. But that there was a long span from November to August, so I was like, I wasn't able to get a fight in, but it made up for it, like me going into the contenders, and like that whole month of July, like pretty much traveling to Vegas and like being able to train, going out there and like doing the promos and everything, and then flying back. I just kind of just took it all in. I was like, just the whole entire time, like I was like, they always kind of mentioned to me that like you're gonna like sometimes you'll just like roll past it. You don't won't even notice it, and you'll kind of forget about the ride. But me, man, I was looking like the whole entire time. I was completely present. Like I was present in the moment of flying out there just for the promos, because I thought that was the first time me flying to Vegas was doing UFC promos. And then flying back, and then flying back out there for for the contenders, and I soaked that process in, and that to me that was like a fun, that was amazing, I loved it. And then I go out there for my UFC debut, and man, like that to me too, I was like taking it in too. I was like, man, this is amazing. I didn't like it was almost the same as the contenders ride, but just you're just taken care of a little bit more by the UFC. Like the UFC pays a little bit more attention to you whenever you're signed by them. So it was really cool. I enjoyed the process, man. I loved it.
I believe last time we talked, you did have a job outside of fighting, if I remember correct. I want to say it's construction, but I'm not sure if that's correct. Is that still the case today?
And nah, I quit my job. I quit my job like a week before the actual like my actual UFC fight. So it's strict. It's just strictly me training now, man. And I was that jerk that cut people's water off. So it's I hated
Yeah,
that. I
that's
hated
right.
that. So that was the worst part of it. But man, it was a really good job for what I had. I worked under really great people and people who like still kind of have an influence in my life. Like my boss, like he like 100% was like always gave me some great advice. He was an older man and pretty much gave me good advice, especially when I needed it. So he completely influences me what I do today too. So it's cool, man. I had some like it was a really great experience. Now like I moved on to the next chapter of me just committing myself fully onto my dream. So it's amazing. It's a
I mean,
blessing.
even though you have a good relationship with them, it must have felt pretty good when you got to put in that notice, right? Like, hey, listen, the full time dream of a fighter has come into to a reality.
Oh yeah, it was definitely good. It was definitely really, really good, man. I had worked with them for like about 4.5 years, so it was just one. It was also one of those moments too that I was like, I knew this day was gonna come because I wanted to also just kind of be a coach and train other people as well. So it was one of those bittersweet moments, because I know like I'm not going to be seeing these because I saw those guys every day, Monday through Friday. So it was like one of those, and we were a small group too. So it was like a little bit like kind of like man, I'm not gonna be able to see like my coworkers. We're kind of friends and everything. So it was pretty cool. It was bittersweet, man, but it was super sweet. Especially walking off with the head kick knockout. So I was like, hey, this is even better.
Oh man, your last fight that was against Rodriguez, UFC debut. Could it have been a more perfect debut? I feel like people who didn't know you, they knew you after that one.
Oh yeah, man, it was absolutely perfect, man. It was one of those things for me that like I couldn't have dreamed it to be better. He came in, he helped me. He was just the right type of aggression that wanted to come in there because I knew what type of fighter he was. I knew he wanted to come in there and try to knock my head off. And me, I'm cool, calm, and collected. And when he came in and I just started picking him apart and he saw that he couldn't take me down, then he started noticing these things and I was like, yeah, buddy, let's go. And it was just all perfect. It was set up for me to take that moment in my eyes, looking at that. So and that's exactly what I did. I went in there, uh, showed off a little bit of my skill, not everything, because I can look back at that. I can look back at that fight and just be like, I can pinpoint a lot of things where I'm like, I could have done this better, I could have done that better, I should have done this and that. But for me at that point in time, it was a great performance.
Did you get a boost on social media after that one? Like I imagine after you get a big knockout, and I'm sure it was showed on all the big social media channels, like you must have seen a hike in those followers.
Oh yeah, man. It was like it actually took a little bit of time. Twitter, I'm still not like the biggest
Oh.
like I still like it's hard to get followers on Twitter, but like I went from like my follower, like the people who I followed, my follower count was definitely like I was following more people than were following me. So I was one of those guys.
Yeah, that's not
Uh
good.
and then after my contenders fight, it jumped like 500 and like to like it got me into the thousands. And then after that, like the head kick knockout, I was boosted up above like I was I think I'm like at 2,500 on Twitter now, but on Instagram it was kind of slow. Like I got a big jump in my like the at the contenders like immediately overnight. I woke up and I had like 4,000 followers, and then like after the after the head kick knockout, it was kind of slow build. Like it took like I was like, oh yeah, like I'm probably gonna get another jump like that how I did last time. Come to find out, I was looking at my followers like, oh okay. I was like they weren't following, and then it was just like I slowly built up to how much I have now. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool though. Like I still love it, man. If you're there wanting to follow me and kind of follow my road, that's cool, man. I still think it's a little bit funny that or weird that like, hey, you want to follow this person on their social media and everything to try to learn their personal life. Hey, more props to you, man. That's cool. I follow some celebrities too, man. So I don't follow. It's a little weird to me, a little bit. You're following somebody.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Are you one of those guys that's very protective of their personal life? Like some fighters, they're kind of they'll announce everything, like their kids and stuff. Some of them, you find out they have kids, you didn't even realize, and their kids are like 12 or something. It's like, well, we didn't know that. Are you pretty guarded with your personal life?
Somewhat, a little bit, so and so. Like I'm like not really. I won't go out there and like push out what's already like that hasn't already been out there. I'm not gonna go out there and be like, oh man, like if I had kids and I didn't talk about me having kids, then I'm just like I'm not
Yeah,
gonna just push them out. But like, hey, I had kids out for 7 years. I'm like, all right, cool. It's guarded and everything. But if everybody already knows that I have kids, then I was just like, hey,
yeah,
cool, yeah. But like no, man, I'll be pretty guarded about a lot of things. But if you ask me, like, here's the thing: is a lot of people don't really ask me questions, so I'm like, I don't put it out there. So like, oh yeah, like they're like, oh, like, man, that's so cool. You start off in boxing and everything. It's like, oh no, that's just a common misconception. I started off in jiu-jitsu. Like, no, they're like, what? They're like, yeah, I'm a black belt. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. They're like, oh, but you're fighting. Like, yeah, no, I just love knockouts, but I have a black belt too. So it's one of those type of things. A lot of people like whenever I posted the picture of me having a black belt, there, everybody was like, "Oh, dude." And I was like, "Yeah, I just don't post it." I was like, "Oh, it's cool. I'll keep that personal, I guess, it's like until somebody asks."
but at the same time, having that black belt and kind of a secret, that's got to be good for you too, right? 'Cause your opponents come in, they're expecting this boxer, blah blah blah, and they try to take you down, and it's like, oh, he knows what he's doing on the ground too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I like surprising people, so it's always fun. But it's fighting. They're gonna find out one way or another. So
True.
it's one of those things. Like especially in the UFC, you're gonna get taken down by somebody. Like some people, like you think those guys that have like a high takedown percentage rate, like high takedown defense percentage rate, you still look and you're like, well, they've gotten taken down before, so uh, you're not gonna be able to hide it. So not so much, but honestly, I'm just like, like if nobody asked me, I don't tell. So it's just one of those.
Let's talk about this fight a little bit, man. You're taking on Gustavo Lopez. What was your reaction when they came to you or your manager, whomever it was, that told you like this guy was next?
Man, we were originally trying to reschedule that fight that I got with Aaron Phillips, so it was like one of those, and like I was really like looking forward to getting that name again because like man, like this is the guy that like before, it was one of those that like outside before we both got into the UFC, it was the former Legacy matchmaker Colin Cantrell was trying to make this fight happen. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, next year, November, if y'all not in the UFC, I want that match to happen. Like, I want it, like, I know exactly what I'm doing. It's like, okay, he mentioned that name to me, and I was like, man, that would have been pretty cool if we can make that happen. But in the UFC, it would have been pretty cool to have that happen. But uh, I got told that he wasn't ready or anything like that. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. We got Gustavo Lopez, and I was like, yeah, no, 100% down. I've been watching him fight and come out to Americas for a little bit now. So I was like, yeah, that's an exciting matchup for me. I really want that fight. It's a good one. He's a banger. He's gonna be one of those guys that helped me showcase a lot of my skills. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Like I'm 100% down. But it also bummed me out because I had signed the contract to fight Gustavo Lopez a a day before I get called out by Nathan. So I was like,
Oh yeah.
oh man, I was like, I was kind of, I was a little bit upset, but also at the same time, I'm just like, I was like, in due time, like after this fight, uh, no, I can get that Nathan fight, but uh, like my manager, I told my manager, we were texting me and my manager were texting, like I didn't even know I had got called out, and then next thing you know, like my manager texted me, he's like, "Hey, that guy Nathan called us out," and I was like, "What? Where?" I was like, looked and I replayed and I looked and I was like, "This motherfucker really just called me out." I was like, dude, like I was kind of thinking, I was like, man, I was like, oh man, like everybody's gunning for me now. I had that feeling for a second, but at the same time, I was like, dude, this is cool. I was like, I told my manager, like, yeah, let's fight him. Like I want him. Like give me that fight. And he was like, dude, you already signed a contract to fight
That's right.
Gustavo. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it just looks like I hate that because it's just like if I don't fight Nathan next, it makes me look like scared. But I'm like, no, I signed a contract. I can't go back unless Gustavo gets hurt. So it's just one of those things. But man, it's pretty cool, man. I'm really excited for this matchup. Gustavo is a tough opponent, and I'm ready. I'm completely ready for that fight. It's gonna be fun.
So from what it sounds like, if you put the stamp on Lopez, we can expect some big Nate Diaz like you taking everything I worked for call out towards Nathan.
It won't be as catchy, but I'll try. It won't be as catchy, but I'll try, man. I'll definitely try. I'll definitely call out Nathan. It'd be cool, man, because it's just one of those fights. You know, he called me out on live television. You know that to me, it's kind of cool that you get called out on television. Like people are like I remember the next day, like I got like an activity update from Topology, and I remember like the next morning or the Saturday and Sunday, I remember like the activity level, like searching my name was really high. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. That's really really cool. But you know, hey, I can't fight him right now, so. But no, I definitely if I start uh Gustavo Lopez early and I come out with no injuries, for sure, quick turnaround. I me and like I have that weird thing like if somebody calls me out or like someone calls me like Nathan first guy to call me out, I'm like, oh yeah, no, we can go like 2 weeks later after my fight. No, we're gonna do this as fast as possible, as soon as possible. Like it, I don't need a training camp. Let's just go.
There we go. Listen, one last question for you. You're gonna hear it a million times if you haven't already. But how do you see yourself getting your hand raised in this fight?
Man, I feel like I knock him out, man. He's a really good scrappy fighter. Uh, I believe I have way better boxing than he does. He's tough and he's durable. So if he's able to withstand my punches, then it's gonna be a 3 round war. But if not, man, he's gonna have an early night. You know, it's gonna be with me with my hand raised. Potentially, hopefully, getting a performance of the night bonus again because that was really nice.
There we go. Well, thanks so much for the time, sir. I really appreciate it. This fight's gonna be a great one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you know that, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Have a blessed one.